What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the most important NYCFC talk show. It's time for the Dudes in Blue. It's episode number 128. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, Joe Amato, and alongside me, as always,
Antonino. What is up, dude?
Dude, this is, like we talked about, going to be the Seinfeld episode.
It's the episode about nothing.
That's right. And as we're waiting for some people to join in on the broadcast, let us know where you're watching from and give us the follow. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We are at Dudes in Blue. This episode, guys, tonight is going to be all about you. We want to know what you want to talk about in the comments. I have maybe some talking points, dude, that we can dive into maybe. But I want to know what's on the minds of the people of the soccer community, dude. Let's start with you, dude. What's on your mind soccer-wise, besides the fact that NYCFC really needs to come back and play some soccer?
Not too much. I mean, these breaks, again, as a fan, I thoroughly enjoyed going to the games, 3 days in 1 week. I loved having soccer the whole week long. It made the week that much better, even though it's hell on the players and things like that. But doing that too much during the season and ending up with this, I mean, I'm glad we don't have to do too much jockeying with the Yankees due to the playoffs and whatnot, which is nice. But I mean, 3 weeks off at just like the time when you really need to like come into your own and start, steamrolling is, it's whether it's positive or negative is going to be interesting to be seen. But, it's just awful when it comes to, from going so often to just sitting here like,
I don't know. What do you want to do?
What do you want to do tonight? I don't know. What do you want to do tonight?
Let's say hello real quick. Let's say hello real quick to Lalo, Michael, Christian. Christian's taking a break from the ALDS to join us. And,
Are you crazy?
I know. I'm like, oh wait, there's a game on? I'll see you guys later. Yeah, it's tough, dude. It's tough. Look, I posted on Instagram, it was probably last week, maybe towards the end of last week, that there was 19 scheduled games between that, whatever day that I posted it, and, NYCFC's next match. There's 19 MLS games. The horrible MLS scheduling is just, it's a disaster, man. It's just a disaster.
I mean, it's the little brother trying to compete with the big brother in terms of sports. You got all these other sports that just, I mean, listen, baseball playoffs, very, very huge. You're talking about football season, the start of hockey and basketball season now, or hockey's here, basketball's on its way. This is the time of year where it's amazing to be a sports fan, but when it comes to the MLS, it's just, you're trying to make sure that your product is not lost amongst all the other stuff that's been here for the last, I don't know how many years. Especially with it's hard to pull people away from football on Sundays, and it's hard to distract people from playoff baseball. So, I get it. I understand the schedule's a little off during the year, and now especially is a hard time to do it. But I mean, again, you had a lot of games being played. It's just, we're not one of them, and I enjoyed kind of having a little bit of a break, but now I'm like, all right, we can play now.
I know. It's definitely,
let's start it up.
It's definitely time. So dude, let's take a quick look around MLS because, some things are happening.
Many things.
Some stuffs. Who would have thought, and let me know in the comments, who would have thought that our biggest threat would be Philadelphia? The Philadelphia Union are sitting at 50 points, just 3 points behind us at 32 games apiece between us and them. I also would like to mention that we're playing Philadelphia in the last match of the season, which is known as Decision Day, which actually might determine a decision in favor or against NYCFC that game. That game might have a lot of weight on it. It's still too early to speculate because there's still other matches to be played, obviously. Columbus can throw a wrench in the whole system here. But that being said, who would have thought that Philadelphia was going to be the one to be right on our heels?
No, that's true. And they made a great push the second half. It's actually interesting. Our last two games are against two teams that we very might well meet up in the first round.
Christian said, which may or may not be at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, really.
It's true. It's true.
It's interesting that both the teams we finish off the season against could be teams we play. Now, I think that's good and bad. It's good and bad. I mean, you're getting you might be getting a second look in that playing game at a team, or they may be getting a second look at you, which is the other part of it. But you kind of know what you're working with. If you've seen them, I mean, we've seen DC fairly recently, so we kind of know what they have going forward. So we're going to know what they show up with. And Philly, I mean, we've seemed to have pretty good games against Philly where we've got a lot of chances. So again, it's going to come down to the wire and whether or not we play at home. And if we play at home, great. If not, may God have mercy on our souls.
I don't want to like keep harping on this, but why does it have to come down to the wire? Why did it have to? But right though, I mean, like we were so ahead. It's just so disappointing to see now that there's a 12-point difference between us and the Red Bulls. It's just like I'm just gonna rub salt in the wound here, guys. Like this is sad. This is sad. I mean, we're sitting on 15 wins. Red Bull and Atlanta have 20. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. It's really unfortunate, but.
Just you've got to have all the pieces moving together in the right direction, and somewhere along the lines, the wheels fell off the NYCFC wagon, and it's been a hell of a time trying to get them back on.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, so as it stands right now, guys, we've got Atlanta, Red Bull, NYCFC, Philadelphia, Columbus, and Montreal sitting above the red line in the Eastern Conference. But again, things can change. DC's making that push, and DC has 2 games in hand. New England has a game in hand, and they both of these teams could potentially make a push. But I don't know if New England's got the legs to be able to get above that line. DC, on the other hand, is going to be tricky. But yeah, dude, Philly, man, that's the final game of the season, wherever it's going to be played. If it's going to be played at Yankee Stadium, because we have no idea what the hell's going to happen with the Yankees. And again, we don't know anything. There's no rumor. There's no nothing. But that's going to be a crazy game. Regardless, that's going to be a crazy game. That game could determine whether or not we play a playing game at home or on the road. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot of moving pieces at the bottom. And some years you get the years where everybody's kind of set in stone once you past July and you kind of can see it out. And there's other times, other seasons where you've got, everybody is at the bottom and looking, trying to sneak their way in. So it makes for exciting soccer down the stretch, and it makes every game important. I mean, listen, you should treat every game as if it's important. Not to say, some losses aren't, in certain parts of the season don't really hurt you, but at the end, listen, a game here or there could be the difference. And a game that you lost 1-0 or dropped points in could be the reason why you're outside the playoffs looking in.
Yeah, 100%. Let's get to a comment here on Facebook, dude.
Let's do it.
I've seen you several times in the broadcast, and I'm not sure how to pronounce this on Facebook, but it's Ger Beha says, Villa has not been able to get to the same level he was playing. Remember those times when he used to score at least once or twice per match? That affected us, I believe. I think, dude.
I don't think so.
I think it's a collective sunkenness. I can't pin it on any one player, especially David Villa.
You've got to remember that he's been injured for at least half the season, almost half the season. So you're missing half the games and you're having to constantly restart your process, restart your rhythm, and go forward and try to get reacclimated. That's number one. Number two, you've got other people on this team that can score goals that you don't need to rely on him. Again, any player that's going to start scoring 1 or 2 goals a game that's not named Joseph Martinez is going to be doubled and triple teamed, and it's going to be on other people to score. Listen, right now, no one is scoring, so I'm not going to sit here and put it on David Villa because we played, plenty well without him when he was injured that first spell.
Sure.
So it's really has nothing to do with him. I mean, it'd be great if he could score 1 or 2, But that would mean that we're going back to let's find Villa with the ball, and we're not playing the soccer we're supposed to be playing.
Here's the other thing too, dude. How? And again, this is no trash talk about David Villa because I will never trash talk my captain. But at what point do we as fans and players on the team stop relying on a 36-year-old striker? You got to understand that the guy's legs are not 25, 26 years old anymore. Granted, the level he was playing at the last 3 years was phenomenal, but you gotta call a spade here. It's going to catch up, and I think it is. You see it with the injuries. He's more injury prone than he was in the past couple of years. Your reliance on him has to kind of step back a little bit. You can't rely on just David Villa to score 2 or 3 goals a game. You need guys like Tajuri Shradi and Jesus Medina and Joinga Burgett and even Maxi Morales to be able to step up and start netting some goals. Our problem has not been David Villa not scoring goals. Our problem has been NYCFC not scoring goals because, like you said, dude, we played fairly well without him when he was away. We had no problem scoring goals at the beginning of the season, and actually, Tajuri Shradi took David Villa over in goals scored for a little bit. So, it's. I'm reading some of the comments here. I think it's more coaching than anything else. I agree with you guys on that, but I don't necessarily think it's David Villa. Would I love to see him score 2 or 3 goals a game? We all would. I think it's safe to say that everybody would love to see our captain start scoring some major goals again. But realistically, I don't think it's possible. Given his physical state, given the way that NYCFC is playing, the service that he's getting or not getting, the coaching staff that doesn't seem to know what the flip is going on with this team, and everybody else just getting younger and better. It's just a reality. That's it. I want to get to a question here from Roddy Russell. What's up, dude? Says, question for you guys. Should we look within the league for another striker or look abroad again? Dude,
sorry about that. I lost you for like a good 2 minutes.
Jeez. Oh my God.
I did not hear a thing that you said.
That's okay, because I was just moving my mouth.
Oh, good, because I'm here. Now you're really fuzzy too.
All right, here we go. You can hear us though, right?
I can hear you.
Roddy Russell on Facebook is asking a question, says, should we look within the league for another striker or look abroad again? I'm not going to sign David Villa's, resignation right now, but I think we can have that conversation. Where do we go?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, for me personally, you've got to remember that this is still a business. This is still a growing team. You still need to attract fans. So for me, you need someone that's a proven goal scorer that everybody knows that person's name. Does it have to be somebody at the end of their career? No. I wouldn't want that. I would want somebody a little bit younger, maybe in their early 30s, with a couple more years of juice in the tank to keep, see us through. But does it have to be inside? No, it's got to be somebody that can put the ball in the net at this point. And I don't care where they come from. It's really got to be somebody that's going to score and score a lot. But again, you realize that you've got to be able to bring fans, and we've been, bleeding fans since what seems like the first year. It seems like we've been going downhill, constantly. So now at this point, it's a dilemma. Do you bring in somebody that's older, that's, done it before, but might not be able to do it now? Or do you go and find somebody that can, nobody's ever heard of and take the risk of not being able to attract new fans? It's really up to the club at this point, which direction they want to go in. We as fans obviously prefer that they go, finding somebody that just can score, whoever it may be. But you've got to be able to take the blinders off and say, yeah, look, as a business, they kind of want to bring fans in too. And the product on the field is number one. That's the first thing they do is the team. That's the product. And if that's the main focus, and you've got to figure out how to get the players that people know and put fans in the stands. I mean, let's face it, that's why you had a huge number of season ticket holders. Not only was the club new, but you had players like Pirlo, Lampard, and Villa that people knew and wanted to see. I mean, there were tons of fans created of this team just for the fact that they wanted to see one, two, or three of those players, and then fell in love once they got to the club. For me, it's like that. We weren't necessarily, we were following a little bit and we were watching it, and then, Pirlo said he's coming, and we said, let's go take in a match. And from that point on, we haven't missed one since, it feels like.
No, that's right. Let's also, let's take a look at, the top goal scorers of the league right now, dude. Because, it's just, the proof is in the pudding, right? Whether it's, an international or whether it's a homegrown, it doesn't really matter.
The proof is in Zlatan's shoes.
Yeah, you're telling me. Well, look, Golden Boot right now, it's Joseph Martinez, and it doesn't look like anybody's going to be able to catch him sitting at 30 goals. Okay, international, right there. Zlatan Ibrahimovic is number 2 with 21 goals.
But explain to me, where the hell did this guy score 20 goals?
Dude, listen, the guy comes in.
I saw the first 3 and like 3 more in the middle, and that's all I've seen.
Well, dude, he scored 2 goals in his first 15 minutes on the field. Like,
unreal what he's been able to do
this
season. He is an animal.
If Zlatan keeps up this pace and actually stays in this league next season, he's gonna murder everybody. It's like, it's not even gonna be, there's gonna be no question. So, but that being said, he's 9 goals short of the Golden Boot race right now because Joseph Martinez has 30 and Zlatan's got 21, which 21 goals out of 25 matches, dude, is absolutely insane. I mean, 30 goals out of 32 matches for Joseph Martinez is absolutely disgusting. So, yeah. But right below him, dude, you got an MLS veteran in Bradley Wright Phillips, 20 goals out of 30 matches. Then Jazzy Zardes, another U.S. International and homegrown guy. Not another one, but another United States veteran, I guess you could say, MLS veteran. And then you got Nemanja Nikolic coming in with 15 goals, and then going right down the line. There's a lot of internationals on that list. So, from a goal scoring standpoint, all the numbers point to foreign, point to outside of this nation. I mean, just look at our goal scorers for the U.S. men's national team, right? If Bobby Wood is our star striker, I don't know how many goals he scored for the United States, but I don't think it's been all that many. So, I'm looking at if it's gonna come, if the goals need to come, they gotta come from somebody outside that's a veteran at scoring goals. Not a veteran like age-wise, but veteran in the soccer world, right? And I'm not talking about, a 36-year-old David Villa or a 34, 35-year-old Zlatan Ibrahimovic. I'm talking about, even a 30-year-old, international who's killing it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, give me a second here to pull this up, but I want to see, how old is James Rodriguez?
I have no idea.
I'm going to pull it up right now. Hold on. Let's pull up.
I can find it first.
Wikipedia.
27. He's 27.
He's 27. All right. So you look at a player like that where he's like not upper echelon like the Luis Suarez or the Messi or the Ronaldo, but he's right there. He's like right on the cusp. You got to get somebody that's like he would be like the example I would give. I don't necessarily mean him, but if you can get someone like him of that stature, you're talking about a guy who's, right around the age of 30, preferably on the younger side. Does it have to be 27? No, it could be 29. It could be 20. It could be 30. It could even be 31. I think you still got 4 or 5 good years left. I think you got to get a player who's got 4 or 5 good years left. That's still has somewhat of a prime left to go through. Maybe hitting their stride and digressing a little bit, but you want to get someone that's proven. You want to get someone that has a national team shirt, that's got plenty of caps, that's got that experience to bring with them. And you want to get someone that people know, that people can get excited about. I can't get excited about people I've never heard of from South America. I'm sorry. unless they're going to turn into Joseph Martinez,
Yeah.
then
Yep.
I'm like, okay, that's great. But I mean, how many players are there like that out there? I really don't know. And don't get me wrong. I mean, this is one of the hardest. For me, this has got to be one of the hardest sports to scout because there are millions upon millions of players throughout the world, and you can find any one of these guys under any rock you could look at. I mean, they are all over the place, and it's just impossible to cover that much ground,
Yeah.
to be fair. So again, where do you look? Where do you concentrate your time? Do you concentrate it in the United States? Yeah, you've got that argument that, oh, your team's got all international players. There's no American players. Well, listen, I mean, the goal is to win, and I understand that, but at some point you gotta you have to do one before the other, and either you're going to win before you start growing your own players, or you're going to start taking your own players and they're not going to be good enough to win, and then you're in a different boat. You're going to be losing every year. So, I give kudos to the Red Bull. They have an amazing, amazing talent pool to pick from. They do a great job with their youth. Do I think we could do that? Absolutely. We can match that and do better than that. But the thing is, you kind of have to do it. And I think you've got to set precedents in a league where you've got to show your dominance. These second half flops that we've been having aren't appealing. They're really not appealing. And I mean, it's great you want to play in New York, but how fast does that wear off when you realize that you can't get past the first round of the playoffs, or you can't score goals from August until the end of the season?
Yeah.
But again, that's the player that you should be looking for. You should be looking for a James Rodriguez type. The issue is how many of those are out there.
Yeah. Lalo
Is
is
my
saying
question.
Chicharito?
You really want
he's
somebody
another...
he's a little bit old, not so much older, but I mean, listen, if I asked you, would you rather have Chicharito or James Rodriguez? Who are you going to pick?
Yeah, I'd probably go James, just a little bit younger, but Chicharito's 30, by the way.
Okay, so you're talking about a guy who's significantly a couple more years. Listen, if you can lock somebody up for 5 years and keep them, and that they're going to help grow the team and grow an identity, that's fantastic. Especially in a league where you have so much turnover year after year or every other year. I mean, listen, we've changed players almost as often as we change jerseys.
It's true, yeah. No,
It's
true.
it's the way it is. Every other year, you've dropped off a significant number of players that have been here the years before, and it's okay to do that, as long as you're bringing in winning players and you're replacing the players that did well with more players that do well or do better. That's what teams like Real Madrid and Juventus and Barcelona have done. They've created a revolving door of some sorts. But at the same time, anyone that they let go, they bring in someone either equally as good or better, and they constantly win. And those teams, they constantly win. So if we're going to constantly win, that's fantastic. And if you're going to keep rotating squads, that's fine. But you got to remember that you have to be able to replace what you've given away, and you've got to show the same product every year. You have to be able to maintain and or get better. And right now we've kind of stuck, and it's still early, but again, there's only so much patience that we have here before it gets old really quickly.
Start putting them in the comments, guys. There's reports now talking about the turnover rate that you were just talking about, dude. Reports of Miguel Almiron leaving Atlanta in January, possibly for Arsenal. That's another example of, this just being a farm league, look at this young Paraguayan who comes in the league, has 2 phenomenal seasons, and then adios, because the money comes in and he goes. I don't think, if Miguel Almiron goes to Arsenal, let's just say that it happens, I don't think he's going to see an Arsenal kit. I just don't. I don't see him, taking over for players at Arsenal. I just don't see it happening. I'm more upset with the fact that these phenomenal players are here and they're dominating this league and they're selling jerseys and they're selling tickets and they're bringing success to their club. And then all of a sudden it's like, gone. All right, we're done. You know, like Jack Harrison from us, for example. You know what I mean? He's starting to get some legs now over at Leeds, but still, would he have been? You know, I would rather than be the star here. Who would not? If soccer was bigger in America, right? If soccer was bigger in the United States, these players would not be leaving for Europe. Let's be honest here.
If there was no salary cap in our league, and you didn't have to worry about DPs, and there was a shared revenue where, you know, the lower teams could, you know, feed off the taxes of the higher paying teams, and they can get money that way and get better over the years. It's a different story.
The money rules are there and they suck, but nothing can take away from the fact that the United States as a whole, soccer-wise, is not seen in the upper echelon of the free world here. Everybody wants to go to Europe. You know, we're right there with South America, if you ask me. You know what I mean? Like, no, you don't see players running to the Argentinian league. You don't see players running to Liga MX. It just doesn't happen. They're trying to go abroad.
The point of all this. If Almiron goes through and goes to Arsenal, that's two pretty big players, and I think he's bigger than Harrison, obviously, but that's two players that you've gotten that have used this as a stepping stone. If Almiron going to Arsenal means that 10 more Almirons come here to play in hopes of getting there, and they give us 2 good seasons, and then those 10 Almirons give us 20 more Almirons the next year after that, all of a sudden then, yeah, you're getting turnover every 2 years, but you're getting constantly good players. You're getting good players to watch year after year after year. Listen, you watch Juventus. Do you care what the 11 are as long as the 11 are good and can produce wins? No, because you root for their shirt, and eventually it'll get to the point where people will want to stay where they want to stay, and they'll fall in love with where they live, and that'll be that. And you know, hopefully Europe and the United States will get to a point where they're a little more equal, and the United States will get a little bit more growth, and they'll get more funding, and they'll get more money for their talent and their youth academies and things like that. But until then, you gotta find something and exploit it. And if this is what you can exploit and sell these guys and take the money that you're getting and putting it into the United States national team, or creating a nationwide talent, you know, academy where you're grabbing kids left and right, it could be huge. And again, we all are going to have our favorite players that are going to end up coming and going, and I understand that. But I mean, would you not want to see a winning team, you know, every year?
You would love to see a winning team every year, but you're not going to get that winning team every year if the pieces keep changing in and out.
That's not true, though.
Whether it's players or coaches, you talked about Juventus, right? You talk about Juventus, right? But the coaching staff has been there for how long? And with the exception of this season, dude, this I think was one of the biggest changes. I mean, really, I guess the last 2 or 3 years, but we've seen the biggest changes in a while for Juventus, right? But the coaching has been the same. The system has been the same. And dude, anybody that signs a player like Ronaldo is going to get a lot of attention. But the point is that, you know, there's some element of consistency there. Yes, right. Listen, if Patrick Vieira was still here and we created the system that he was playing with, and the pieces changed in and out, you know, every couple of years or so, then I could understand that, because the system is the same. It's easy to find different players that fit a particular system. But when everything is changing and nothing is staying consistent, that's where you get the crap that we've been dealing with now.
Yeah, the coaches and the system would have to remain pretty similar. You'd have to have someone with a good philosophy. You have to have really good coaching.
But dude, the coaching turnover is just as bad in MLS as the players.
I think that's more of an issue where I'm not so much worried about the players turning over as the coaching is. I think if you're going to get the coaches and they're going to stay and put the work in, they can do it, and they can create a league where, you know, you're getting European like style of soccer and results and things like that. But I think that's got to be shaped up much, much better. But as far as player turning over, listen, again, you give me one coach for 5 years and give him 3 different teams, he's probably going to come up the same every time.
Fine, but we still need that piece that
System,
stays
and
consistent.
we're going to win games.
But you still need that piece. You need that piece. You can't be turning players and coaching staffs at the same time. It's a recipe for disaster.
It's one or the other.
It's a recipe for disaster. Now, listen.
It's players or nothing.
Things happen, right? Like, things totally happen. Toronto completely crapped the bed this year. I really think a lot of that had to do with the Champions League at the beginning of the season. That just kind of like set the momentum completely in the wrong direction. But other than that, I mean, look, you look at Red Bulls. Red Bulls had a coaching change, but did they? Chris Armas has been there. The players have been there. There's not, and look what happens. Same thing with Atlanta. That consistency from last year, that momentum carried them into this season and are most likely going to carry them to an MLS Cup if all things keep going the way that they're going. But the point is that you got to have that consistency. It's not just for the fans, because yes, people fall in love with players all the time. You got to go for the name on the front of the jersey rather than the name on the back. But at the end of the day, dude, consistency is what's gonna build that dynasty that we all want in New York, right? I think I lost dude again.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's just no. I'm still here. Ultimately it's consistency, but you've got to get to a point where you're happy with what you're getting consistently. And right now we've been consistently bad. So, figuring it out again, my cup hopes this year are pretty slim. I'm kind of focused on next season right now. I'm just trying what pieces will be better, and if Dome is still going to be here. Again, I don't know. I can't fathom that football season misses 3 times with coaches.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. It remains to be seen. It totally remains to be seen, dude. We're having a little bit of connection issues. You keep popping in and out, but that's
I know.
It's probably
bad tonight.
It's probably a good place to wind it down, guys. We really appreciate you spending some time with us. I know NYCFC has been off. Make sure to watch U.S. men's national team on Thursday night as they take on Colombia, which will be fun. We'll get to see Ben Sweat hopefully get his first minutes in the men's national team kit. That'd be pretty awesome.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna be back on Monday night for episode 129. Probably be very similar to this, but maybe we'll have some other things to go over as well. If any news breaks or things like that happen. But make sure to give us the follow on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We're at Dudes in Blue. It's really easy to get a hold of us. But dude, I want to go play FIFA. So
yeah.
So guys, thanks so much for spending a little bit of time with us. We'll be back next Monday night. But until then, guys, stay blue.
Stay blue.